Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brett Renee. I'm an artist, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I made this. It's a negative space painting. This is super easy. It's a lot of fun. And one thing I love about this project is that it pretty much forces you to play around with color and with shape. So it's a great project if you're a beginner. It's also great if you've been painting a while and you just want a way to get out of your box, get loose, and try new things and experiment. So in this project, I used both watercolor and acrylic. So let's get started. So you want to just start laying down color on the page. And there's no rules to this, just be completely loose, just whatever feels good to you. It's a really intuitive process. You can add a lot of water, you can add very little water and have much more intensity of color, let things bleed together. You can put them out on their own and let them dry a bit and then put things around them. It's just whatever you want to do. It's really fun. It's very free. And I would say pick maybe 3 to 5 colors to work with so you don't get overwhelmed or create a big brown soup on the page. So I've picked 5. I'm using quinacridone pink, opera pink, spring green, new gamboge, and lemon yellow. And these are all Daniel Smith colors that I've got. And I'm just playing around with them. And another good thing to do is not stay just in one area, add a little bit in one area and then move to another area and just kind of work all over the page at once and let everything that wants to happen kind of at once rather than just in one space, because then you'll be trying to balance out probably your darks and lights. This way you're putting dark and light colors everywhere. It's much easier and it comes together much quicker. So just adding a little more green here. And as I'm working, I'm kind of deciding, do I want more pink? Do I want more green? What do I want to be more dominant here? I mean, I could have an equal balance. I could really make this just a very pink painting. I can make it a green painting. It's really whatever you're feeling in the moment. And you have to remember, a lot of this, what you're painting, is going to get covered up by the next color, by the negative space that you're going to paint out. So you don't want to get too attached to it. And the other thing is to just take note of where you're seeing some really interesting things happen, because once you draw your shapes in, whatever's inside the shapes, that's going to show through. So you might want to think about, oh, I want to draw a shape over this area because this part I want to preserve and show through the painting. But I'm not thinking about that too much right now. I'm just thinking about filling up the page. Where do I want more pink? Where do I want more green? Where do I want more yellow? Letting things bleed together, adding more water if I need to. I'm just having a lot of fun. It's really fun to work this way. It's so freeing. I just love it. Now I'm just going to add some splatters. Again, more visual interest. I like to add as much visual interest and let the paints really bleed together and do lots of interesting things, so I have lots of areas to choose from when it comes time to decide what I'm covering up and what I'm leaving in. And I just knocked my lamp over a little bit, but that's okay. We're almost getting there. Now I'm just adding some less details and then I will let this dry and then we can move on to the next stage. So this is a photograph I took that I'm going to use as my model to pull shapes out of for my painting. And I like there's a variety of things in this photograph that I can pull shapes from, which will make the finished painting much more interesting to look at. For instance, I can pull flower shapes from here and also from here, and I can pull leaf shapes from this area over here, and I can pull branches from down here and also up at the top. So now I'm adding some shapes with my mechanical pencil, and it's okay to actually press down and see the pencil marks, because otherwise when you go back to paint you're not going to be able to see them, and you can always cover them up because we're going to be using acrylic paint, which has much more coverage than watercolor paint does. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm just doing the outline of the shapes, and I'm being mindful of any areas that I want to keep in the painting, because anything that's in the middle of the shape is going to show through, and anything around it is going to be your negative space, and you're going to be painting that out. And another thing that I like to do is, even if there's 2 or 3 shapes that are kind of together, like in my photograph, I will put those as separate shapes and leave a little space between them so they stand alone. It's much more interesting. Otherwise you just get one big blob of a big shape rather than separate shapes. Okay, now I'm adding some more leaves up in the corner here like you saw in the photograph. And you can add as many shapes as you want. You can get really dense with this, or you can be kind of loose and minimalist. It's up to you. It just depends how much of the background you want to come through. But just remember, you are going to have to cover some of this up, and nothing is sacred. Just remember that. Nothing is sacred, because even though you might have to cover up some parts that you think came out really cool, what remains is also going to be really cool, and it's all going to be awesome. So just have fun. Now I've got all my shapes on, and it's time to start painting the negative space. I'm going to be using a turquoise color. I thought that would be a nice contrast to a lot of the warm colors that are going on there, just to add a cool element to bring them out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start outlining some of these shapes with my turquoise and then fill in between them. Now, one thing I will tell you, you don't want to outline everything and then try to fill it in, because it's really easy to forget what is a shape and what is the space. It gets confusing. So I would say pick an area, start there, fill that in, and then move on to the next area. And actually, I think I'm going to start working at the top and work my way down. That might be a little bit easier. Another thing I'm starting to think about is to create even more visual interest. I think I'm going to make the top light blue. I'm going to lighten that color up and let it be lighter, and then work my way down to the full darker turquoise color. So I'm going to fill in this area. I'm going to outline my shapes and fill in between it, and then I'll move on to another area. So you can see I've got a little bit more outline done, and I'm going to finish up this corner area before I move on. So I'm just doing the last bits of outlining here. I'm changing brushes so I can really fill in now between those lines, and I'm preserving my areas. And you can see now I've got the top done mostly. I'm just finishing that up, and then I'm going to start moving into a little bit darker tone as I move down the painting. So again, going a little bit darker here, a little more detail in this area. I'm changing the size of my brushes as I work. Just now I'm working with the darker tone and just filling in these last areas, working across the painting bit by bit. And there we have it, my final painting. So all I need to do is maybe a little bit of adjustment here in that transition from the light to dark, and I am done. So here's the finished painting. You already saw it at the beginning of the video, but here it is again. Here's a closer look so you can really see all the details. And it was a lot of fun. And so a couple things is I could have added maybe more shapes in certain areas, maybe, but or I could have even taken some out and made it a little more minimalist, but I'm pretty happy with the painting that I came out with. One of the things I really like that happened is how I used a lighter color blue here, moved into a mid-tone and then to something dark, which really grounded the painting. And one of the reasons I think this works is because it makes it look more like a landscape, which these are flower shapes, rather than something underwater if it had all been just one color blue. And of course I could have used green in here instead of blue, but I really love this turquoise against these colors. And so this is the painting I came up with, and that's what part of the fun is, just it's an experiment. So go ahead and make one of these. I highly recommend it. You will not regret it. And if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please like or subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.